It is 7:01 p.m. Are you cool with doing roll call, staff?
Commissioner Ali,
Present.
Commissioner Daniel. I see her. Commissioner Gathua, Commissioner Johnson,
Here.
Commissioner Harris,
Here.
Commissioner Novus, Commissioner Rivera,
Here.
Commissioner Traore,
Here.
and Commissioner Gathua.
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Dillard is here too.
I'm sorry. I got you down.
Commissioner Daniels also here.
Thank you.
All right, I'll read the land acknowledgement. We meet today in the community of Iowa City, which now occupies the homelands of Native American nations to whom we owe our commitment and dedication. The area of Iowa City was within the homelands of the Iowa, Meskwaki, and Sauk. And because history is complex and time goes far back beyond memory, we also acknowledge the ancient connections of many other Indigenous peoples here. The history of broken treaties and forced removal that dispossess Indigenous peoples of their homelands was and is an act of colonization and genocide that we cannot erase. We implore the Iowa City community to commit to understanding and addressing these injustices as we work toward equity, restoration, and reparations. All right. Did you guys all get a chance to look at the meeting minutes? Is there anything that you guys want to motion to pass? I propose.
Second that motion.
Commissioner Ali,
Yes.
Commissioner Daniel,
Yes.
Commissioner Dillard,
Yes.
Commissioner Gathua,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Novus. Oh, okay, let me promote her to panelist.
I'm here.
We're taking a vote on the, so I just got to your name. So Commissioner Novus,
Yes.
thank you. Commissioner Rivera
Yes.
and Commissioner Traore,
Yes.
thank you. Motion passes 9-0.
Perfect. Okay, next on the agenda is public comment of items not on the agenda. The TRC members shall not engage in discussion with the public concerning said items. We're going to start with the attendees on Zoom. So if anyone on Zoom would like to make a public comment about something that is not on the agenda, now would be an appropriate time to raise your hand. Looks like we're good. Is there anyone that's in here that would like to make a comment, a public comment about an item not on the agenda? All right, I think we're good then. Agenda item number 6 is the Excluded Workers Fund update. So in the packet, there was attached the update email from the Iowa City Catholic Worker House, along with like my very short and brief update. Commissioner Harris can talk about this just a little bit more. But the way that they've done the excluded worker, or that they are deciding to do the Excluded Workers Fund now, is expand it. And it broadens the program, and now they're proposing having a lottery process. And that is an issue because it could potentially have the excluded workers excluded from the process. And I'm going to hand it over to Commissioner Harris, who knows a little bit more about this.
So thank you. So I've been, as usual, I always, I've been on the front lines of this thing since the beginning. And it just seems like that things are getting worse. And initially, they passed funding. It was like $2 million from Johnson County and $1.5 million from the city. And then they had a name. It was the Excluded Workers Fund, and they were going to, give payments to all the excluded workers. Well, once they passed that and they decided that they was going to start planning on implementing it, Johnson County staff decided to make different changes to it, to where they changed the name of the plan to something different, and they included people, and it made people eligible who wasn't excluded. So basically what they did is they made people who got stimulus checks and got the help from the government during the pandemic, they made these people eligible. So, and then they changed the name of it, which is kind of almost, you could tell that it's intentional. So we've been down there a few times to go to meetings and try to have public comment. The last one that I went to, we wanted to have public comment. There was 75 workers there, and they said 11 people. It was a joint entities meeting, and they said, "Oh, we can only have 11 people in the room." There was 75 workers at least there, and they told them to watch the meeting on a 13-inch TV screen, and there was 75 people there, and so the representatives from the Iowa Catholic Worker House of Iowa City, they decided that they were not going to close the door because they wanted the people to hear the meeting. And the next thing you know, there are 5 deputies show up, armed, gripping tasers, and so it turned into kind of a standoff. And I didn't want it to turn out bad. So at first I was there, and I was going back and forth with them like, this is not fair, but it just felt threatening, just to have deputies there. It was unbelievable. And the reason that we were protesting the things that were going on, because they changed it to a casino style lottery. There's enough money. You got $50-something million. You guys are only taking $3.5 million of it, totally, to help the excluded workers. If you're going to expand the program, put more money into it. If you're going to expand it, because now you're going to exclude the excluded workers once again, because once people hear about that, like, oh, I got a stimulus check, I'm a regular person. Some people work through the pandemic, they're going to all go sign up, and it's going to be people still left out. So some of the activities have not been fair by the Johnson County supervisors. On the next, I think it was a couple of days later or a day after that. It was the day after that. Once the whole police thing happened, and I didn't want to be like, like some of my fellow commissioners who were targeted by law enforcement. So when they brought the law enforcement, I kind of sent the bat signal out and got out of there. But on the next day, they went back again, and they already had the law enforcement there. They had the law enforcement ready to go. You don't use law enforcement against excluded workers. It's just because they want to use a right to speak. And another thing that I will put, and I don't want to make this a personal thing, so I would just say Johnson County supervisors, one of the supervisors asked, it was people that wanted to make a public comment when I was at the joint entities meeting. No, it was a meeting after the joint entities meeting, and they wanted to make a comment. And the people before, they made a comment, and they were like, I watched this one at home, and it moved me emotionally when they were making the comments, and they asked for more time because they had to use translation and things like that. And the Johnson County supervisors just moved on. Didn't even allow the people on Zoom with their hands up. It just moved on. Like, it's not a big deal. So that's what I've been dealing with lately, and it's sad to see. So I'm going to wrap it up because people, but I will say that it should not be that way. It should not be using law enforcement to stop people from speaking. And with that, I yield.
Thanks for the update. And I made a big mistake. I forgot to allow public comment before the excluded worker fund update.
Yeah.
So, but that's okay, because how we're going to do the next few agenda item is allow the people to present first and then allow public comment.
Okay.
But if there's anyone who is on Zoom that would like to talk about the excluded workers fund and that would like to make a public comment on that, now would be a good time to raise your hand. Okay, perfect. Is there any commission members on Zoom who have any comments to make regarding the excluded workers fund or anything that Commissioner Harris gave as an update? What about anyone in here?
Hello, Nicholas Tyson. I live in Coralville. I'll be very brief. So I would just like to second everything that Commissioner Harris said. And also note that by the county's current criteria for this general assistance fund that they've created, I qualify. It's that broad. In fact, not only do I qualify, I would actually rank quite highly because I didn't receive unemployment insurance because, well, we live in Iowa and it's always a fun time trying to get unemployment insurance here. So it's absolutely absurd. And I just wanted to second that and just use myself as an example of just how absurd it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to agenda item number 7, which is going to be the community conversation. And before we get to speaking to the facilitators and the people who have sent us their proposals, I just want to be very clear on this is just right now, having a conversation and kind of taking a step back and seeing where the rest of the TRC is at, just because it's been mainly me that has been communicating. And then, Mohammed jumped into the last meeting, and I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page about kind of what we're looking for and what our needs are as a commission. I don't think that time is something that's going to be against us this time. I spoke to Mayor Teague about how we are taking a step back and kind of seeing the needs. And he was very receptive of that, said that he appreciated us seeing and communicating with one another in the community to kind of just make sure we're going about this the right way. So with that being said, I'm going to allow the presenters to present first, and then we'll allow for public comment and then comment from the commissioners. First, if it's okay with you guys and okay with you, Arnold, I want to start with you because yours is a little bit separate than the other 3, and yours is individual. And I think that even though we have, your stuff right here, I think it would be helpful to hear from you and ask questions, kind of like the presentation you gave me via Zoom, if that's okay. All right, so we're going to start in here with Arnold, and then we will move to Zoom to you wonderful people up there, if that is okay. Perfect. All right. Whenever you're ready, if you want to go up to that microphone.
You can probably also sit at one of these chairs.
Oh yeah, if that's more
Those mics should
comfortable.
be live, so you should.
Yeah, that might be more comfortable.
Good evening, commissioners.
Good evening.
And thank you for giving me the opportunity. I thought I would use this opportunity to to introduce myself because many of you don't know me. I am a cultural anthropologist, and I am interested in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's efforts to facilitate the talks. As a cultural anthropologist, I stand on the shoulders of people involved in the peace process, such as Alfred Kroeber, Franz Boas, Margaret Mead, and more lately, the shoulders of W.E.B. Du Bois and Isabel Wilkerson, who many of you have heard of from CAST. I stand on the scholarship shoulders of these people because as a Columbia-trained anthropologist, we are used to becoming a part of the community. And I live here locally. I'm in the creative corridor. I'm active in the corridor. And I'm active all the way to Des Moines because of my involvement. I am involved with the NACP on the executive committee and served as chairman of the Freedom Fund, which got to know all stakeholders. I'm involved with the Political Action Committee, where I supported candidates and get put on forums. I was involved with the Religious Affairs Community. The reason I bring this up, because as an anthropologist, we move into a community to understand how it works systemically. And the problems that we're talking about with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission are systemic problems. And I'm prepared to look at the system and take interviews with individuals in a comfortable space for them. I represented the constituencies of Lynn County with voting. I was selected to go to Houston by one of the political candidates for the debate. I set up meet and greets for our local candidates where I identified individuals in the community who are leaders. I am involved with the Black Caucus of one of the political parties, and that gets me to know Black activists throughout the state. I'm also a volunteer at the African American Museum, and we're working on a closer partnership with me to do research, possibly to speak on behalf of them, to do interviews with the Unity Trumps Racism organization before the last major presidential election. I conducted interviews with academics and politicians to express about serious topics that were involved in the upcoming election. In the past, I have worked on the initial study when police women were brought into regular patrol opportunities for the New York City Police. This was when all police departments were beginning to integrate their departments, including women, and I was involved in that study. I've been involved with IQ testing for a civil rights leader who did national debates with William Shockley, because it comes up every so often in the Black community, in the national debate on stage, that Blacks are inferior because of IQ. And I became a subject matter expert on IQ testing and presented the research that prepared him for those national debates around the country about Blacks and IQ testing. I have done interviews for the Department of Commerce about the Gulf oil spill that happened a few years ago in the Gulf of Mexico. And I was involved with the National Science Foundation study of the 2008 election. I am very used to interviewing. That's part of the stock and trade of an anthropologist. And it also involves writing. I don't know if I've said enough or if you have any further questions.
So we're going to allow for public comment. So if there's anyone that has any questions regarding that presentation, first we'll go with folks on Zoom who may have questions. What about anyone in here? No? Okay, and then we'll move to commission members. So Chastity, Daphne, or Sikowis, if any of you guys have any questions for the presenter or any comments or anything like that, now would be a good time. All right. How about you guys in here? Do you guys have any questions?
It's very nice to have you here. Thank you for your interest in facilitating our commission. I'm really impressed with just all of the decades of work that you've done for Black people all around this country. I think that there's a lot of opportunity for us to learn from your experience and a lot of assets that you have. I'm wondering specifically, what work you've done in like Iowa City and Johnson County, and how you've like thus far applied some of that work to this community.
One of the benefits of being associated with the museum, the African American Museum, that is, in Iowa, in Cedar Rapids, is that the director has and the state commission on archaeology has included me on their board. And so I am in the process of becoming an adjunct research associate with the state commission, the State Archaeological Commission, which is housed out of the University of Iowa here in Iowa City. And that puts me in touch with researchers who have worked with the Native American population in terms of remains, and I'm a social anthropologist, so what I would bring to the table is how they culturally have been displaced. And mine would be dealing with the social. I deal with living societies. We think of anthropology just as we separate out archaeology, but archaeology is just one of the specialties. I specialize in living societies, and that's why I identify the systemic structure that people are facing in their living society. I have, because of my NAACP involvement, I've met with the Johnson County NAACP president, and I'm just down the road. So it's getting involved. I'm here. I've made a commitment. This is going on 6 years of a commitment to this part of Iowa. And I'm involved politically and culturally. All I would do with Iowa City is apply the same. I would get to know the churches, get to know the recreation centers. It's just that I live down the road, and so I spend more time in Cedar Rapids than I do in Iowa City. And I'm becoming involved with the major university here. So that will put me in touch with the city even more.
Thank you. Can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
I really appreciate the sort of detailed outline of your budget proposal as well. You mentioned you being the lead facilitator, as well as the involvement of students and volunteer facilitators. Can you outline kind of how you envision that relationship to go, and what how you would delegate different roles and responsibilities?
I see we would work as a team, and with the aid of the commission, identify activists who have a story to tell of abuse or social injustices. And we would identify those people first and trace their background. And then we would begin the involvement with telling of their incidents of dehumanization. I'm also a member of the Economic Alliance, and as you know, which is the Chamber of Commerce for this area. And I'm also a member of the Economic Alliance. And so I get to know the stakeholders who may have perpetuated and systemically been involved with social injustice. And I also want to say, in terms of the South African example of their Truth and Reconciliation Commission, one of the lead commissioners was Mary Burton. And I had the privilege of working with Mary Burton when I worked for the United States Department of State. I spent a month with her here in America during the end of the era. And I don't know if you know who Mary Burton is, but she's a white woman who was president of Black Sash. And Black Sash are wealthy white women who used to, during the previous regime, go and stand with a black sash, to observe the horrors of the system. And Mary Burton was very much opposed to the system as a white woman. And it led me to understand that even like Martin Luther King came out of the churches, Mary Burton was greatly motivated by her religious beliefs, and she was put in prison after I worked with her. But she was on the Truth and Reconciliation Committee in South Africa.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any follow-up question? No? Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Yes, and we will be in touch. And I don't foresee us, obviously, like I said to you, I don't foresee us making the decision at this meeting at all. This is kind of just to let everyone know where we're all at and to ask you questions. So I appreciate your time. And we'll debrief with most of the TRC members and then probably invite you back to the next meeting with the presentations and stuff, and then
Thank you.
go from there.
Thank you.
Sound good?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so, and on Zoom, we have our wonderful friends. So, and I kind of explained this at the last TRC meeting, where my head was at with the Kearns and West and Think Peace. And what I had said was where I envisioned them being very helpful. These two separate groups is, I really think Kearns and West is very useful for, the outreach, the reporting, the things like that. Think Peace has so much experience in the actual truth-telling process. And I think that also it's super important to have someone locally. And so something that we had been working on was trying to make this hybrid, literally using council's own words, this hybrid kind of solution in a multifaceted, different team of things. So I want to give you guys the floor to be able to talk about your different proposals. I know that we only have the Think Peace and the Banjo Nets Estige Planning and Mediation Services one. So it's up to you guys in whatever order that you guys want to go in. I would suggest maybe letting Larry go first. He talks the most. So, but it's up to you guys.
Madam Vice Chair, friends like these, I'm going to actually defer to either Ms. Jordan, Ms. Tucker, or V if they'd like to go first, just to share more about their work, and Dr. Ragland as well. I'm happy to take up the rear, as it were.
Perfect.
Sure, we're going to just jump right in. So first, we want to just start thank you to the TRC for the opportunity to submit this proposal. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, just checking. We really appreciate you all reopening the application process so that we and more folks can share their ideas and get directly involved with the TRC effort. So big thank you for that. And just also hi, you all. It's good to see you again. Before we jump into our presentation, our proposal, wanted to do some introductions. My name is Angie Jordan. I am a founder and director of Banjo Knits Empowerment, which is a small local business that focuses on community development and entrepreneurial empowerment. Most people probably, though, know me through my neighborhood association work, where I am the president of our South District Neighborhood Association, the chair of our event committee. I also do the chair of our leadership committee in that neighborhood, and I'm currently the tri-chair of the Project Better Together 2030 Envisioning. My background is working with the 6th Judicial District with kids who have parents in prison, and then I moved into family support advocacy work through the neighborhood centers of Johnson County. I started up a small business and then went hardcore into neighborhood work and advocacy at the grassroots level. I'm a native Iowa Cityan. I'm one of those weirdos who's actually born here and loves it here, and a weirdo with the most affectionate terms. And I'm very invested in healing and being part of the change. So I wanted to throw it over to V so that they could talk more about who they are.
Thank you, Angie. It's always hard to follow your enthusiasm. I'll do my best. My name is V. Fixmo Rise, and I'm the CEO and founder of Astig Planning. We're a planning firm that's located here in Iowa City in the South District, proudly. And we focused on community and environmental planning, and we're directly at the nexus of climate change impacts and racial justice and gender inclusion. So we do plans that include things like the Flood Resilience Action Plan for the city of Coralville, where we worked with community members during the COVID pandemic, right, in 2020, and looking at who is being disproportionately impacted by flooding and how do we bring those voices to the table and bridge those gaps with our community leaders and our decision makers. We also we helped lead the planning part for the University of Iowa's campus safety action plan, and worked very closely with students, staff, and faculty on putting together that document, those plans and open house sessions. We really believe in community engagement that focuses on people of color, immigrants, LGBTQ+ community members, people who are formerly incarcerated, kids, people that, quite frankly, often aren't involved in the planning process, but yet are always impacted by the plans that are made. So we're really excited to partner with Angie Jordan and Annie Tucker on this proposal, and I will turn it over to Annie.
Okay, I'm Annie Tucker. I was one of the founders of a local nonprofit, Mediation Services of Eastern Iowa. We had people who were trained in mediation, and we ended up starting 2 court-connected mediation programs, small claims and family. Eventually, we hosted a training for restorative justice, and do have a pool of people who do restorative justice processes for kids who are in situations where they're referred. And that's been interesting work. And of course, doing that kind of work, you get to see the systemic inequities and the patterns. So that's been worthwhile putting some feedback about that to folks in the system. We had a grant and used part of it to bring in a trainer for circle trainings, and we We made it available at hardly any cost to anybody who was working with kids or families locally. And it turned out that a lot of folks from the school district came, and that really expanded their base of people who were trained in circles and RJ in the school district, and that's continued to grow. We've begun doing some restorative justice cases for the county attorney. We also have provided an access to justice conference for 2 years and in planning for the next one. So our work now with Angie and V is really exciting and dear to my heart, with the possibility of increasing the use of circles if it seems appropriate. And we'll talk more about that in this community. So anyway, I toss it back to Angie.
And just so you guys know, I am going to read from my script because those of you who know me know I can go all over the place. But the main talking point I wanted to focus on is the purpose of our proposal, which centers around healing. We know there's an incredible amount of healing work to do and to continue doing through our community. As individual entities, V, Annie, and I, we've devoted much of our lives professionally and personally to healing practices. And it is really exciting to be on this team, this powerhouse, to combine our energies and our experiences and our skills and talents to offer our local community healing opportunities, specifically through circles. In our proposal, our team offers community circles to engage different groups in the area, to include them in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's processes. Circles are currently used in restorative justice practices throughout the world. They're also used, like Annie said, at the local level. Again, the county attorney's office, the school district. And they also have their origins in First Nations people in the Yukon, which we will talk more about here soon. In community circles, we start by acknowledging the origins of the circles. We don't get into any of the meat or the relationship building until we make our acknowledgement. We then establish a safe space by creating a shared set of values. Folks on this team, we're all about that shared space and how important it is to have before you can get into the relationship building or even those hard conversations. We use a talking piece and take turns answering questions. The talking piece is at the heart of what distinguishes circles from other forums and meetings. A circle keeper will ask a question, they'll take their turn answering, and then pass that talking piece to the next person. When the person has the talking piece, they'll have a choice. They can share anything they choose, or they can pass, which is totally legitimate choice. When participants do not have the talking piece, this piece is huge, I think, their role is to listen to understand. And the implicit message and experience of the talking piece is that every voice matters, every perspective matters. And like we talked about in our proposal, that hierarchy is really flattened in this safe shared space, which is a rare space. It can be remarkable and transformative. Together, our team has already offered several circles, and the feedback has already shown healing happen. So it's one of those things that doesn't, for me, take a lot to get me excited and hopeful. And we already have been seeing some of these sprinkles. And I just wanted to share some testimony and feedback. These are different voices, but I will read it kind of as a whole. I felt I was in a safe space with people I already knew, but in that safe space, I felt I could say more than I usually say to people I know in the circle. After the circle, I felt refreshed and replenished and was in a very good mood for the rest of the day. I also appreciated the input of other circle members. I've got a couple more here to read. It was very calming, a very calming place. It allowed me to speak freely without judgment. I think circles are a great way to communicate and let people get their feelings out and be heard. And then the final testimony I wanted to share, a lot of differences that we have could be resolved. People would have a chance and better understanding how community feels about certain things. And that was the question of how do you think circles could be useful moving forward? So we hope more healing work can be offered through community circles. As mentioned before, circles comes from First Nation people in the Yukon. And now I want to pass it over to V, who's going to help discuss that or address that elephant in the room. V, take it away.
Thank you, Angie. Remind me never to follow you again. Yes, pass me the elephant in the room. Thank you. What we're talking about, of course, is appropriation, which really is no laughing matter. And I appreciate everything that Angie has said before. Circles coming from First Nations people in the Yukon. And really what we want to shift this towards is making sure that we are in right relationship with those communities and go beyond just the acknowledgement of passing on that the practice and the healing of circles. So as Angie mentioned, there is an acknowledgement, of course, at the outset of every circle that we've done. And there also has been funding that in the budget for that is set aside to provide that to the Yukon tribe. So, but beyond that, we realize that we also have a commitment to our local community, and the First Nation people of the Meskwaki tribe are here locally, and so it is a task for ourselves and for others to really become more in right relationship. And I want to thank Councilperson Novus for communicating with us directly about this. And we look forward to continuing our outreach and engagement to make sure that as we continue to move forward, that we are in right relationship with the tribal practices, recognizing that that's where it comes from, making sure that we're not appropriating that culture, but really celebrating that culture. And we find that in saying that the proposal that we have put forth may shift and may change, because we want to make sure that those relationships are honored. And so while we put this forth here before you today, we also want to acknowledge that as we deepen those relationships and engage more fully with the First Nation people of the Meskwaki tribe and others that may come forth, that we just want to be open to that potentially changing, because again, we want to be within our integrity. We want to make sure that even though we feel that it is a healing practice, that we are being respectful and mindful of where those practices come from and how they are being utilized. So that is what I wanted to say about that. And I will pass it over to Annie to expand on the Truth and Reconciliation core and capacity building component of our proposal.
Great. Thank you, V, and thanks, Angie. So in focusing on the Truth and Reconciliation process, we realize that it's great for our community to have access to folks who are experienced in this process. And we want to build community capacity once they leave. Once that initial stage is over, it occurred to us that we want to have local folks who understand this process and who are able to continue it. And in fact, we thought maybe one of the reasons why there weren't a lot of applications to provide this process from local folks is we don't know. Our community folks, we have great leaders, great activists, but they don't know this process. So we ask that the commissioners consider building this in with any of the professionals that they hire to help shape our local process, that they ask them to first, that we find a group of people who are willing to learn these skills and later provide them collaboratively in an ongoing way in our community, because there will still be truths that need to be told and heard. There will still be work and change that needs to be done. So we ask that you have that be part of the terms of the job description, that they include that core of people in conversations with the TRC, which inevitably you would think would include them explaining, here's how the process works, here's why we do this, here are your options, and here's what we would advise about them, and here's what we do and why, and that local folks get to be involved in that. And those may just be Zoom calls that you all, the commissioners, are having with the folks that you hire, so that the small team of people, however large you determine, can be present for that and build our community's capacity to keep this work going on when the initial phase is over. So we're excited about that idea. And when it occurred to us, it seemed like, wow, that should be part of going into any community, is making sure that the local folks can continue this work, because it's not going to be done in 6 or 9 or 12 months, right? We've got decades, we've got centuries to work with. So there's that idea that we just want to plant that seed in how you shape your relationship with whoever you hire. And we also want to say, thank you for the work you're doing. You know that it's important work, and I'm talking to the commissioners now. And we support you creating a process that gives our local folks a chance to share their truths and have them heard and have them be part of change that happens here. Thank you.
Okay, so do we want to let them all go kind of together and then ask questions individually? Would that be the best way to go about this? Or do you guys want to hear a think piece and then it's up to you guys. Okay, let's have Dr. Dave Regland speak, if that's okay. And then we'll do questions for everyone, all three of you guys at the end, if that's okay.
Good evening. Please, how many of you can hear me? My internet has been spotty where I'm at. There's a storm coming or underway. But it's a pleasure to be here with you all, and it's a pleasure to be here and be considered and be a part of the work that's happening here in Iowa City. And just to introduce myself, I'm Dr. Dave Ragland, and I'm the co-executive director at the Truth Telling Project. And we created our partnership about 6 months ago with Think Peace to support truth commissions around the country. We'd already been doing that to a large extent, really informally. We met each other in 2014 after the murder of Mike Brown Jr. in St. Louis. And myself with a number of other activists, we started the Ferguson Truth Commission and what we call is a Truth Telling Project. And we didn't know what we were doing. My background up to that point had been in peace building and restorative justice. I'd done a lot of research on that and had been working to convene communities across the country, particularly where I was teaching at the time. And in Ferguson, we basically were able to hear from so many different people that supported our work, because we understood that at that particular moment in time, we were addressing police violence, but that police violence was part of and connected to many other structural dynamics. And there were so many people who came and supported us and taught us. And we learned together with them, like folks from the Greensboro Truth Commission. And I was even really inspired, and just my thoughts came back to Bishop Tutu as he's recently passed away. And I found a message that he sent to us after a few months of our work that begun in Ferguson. And he wrote, "You've changed the nature of the national conversation about racist police violence, bringing to light the unfortunate pattern that until you stood up had largely been understood as isolated events. But now this nation is debating the deep problems of structural racism and militarized police tactics. This reframing of the problem is a first step toward true and lasting transformation." And that's been our hope, to not only support our community in telling their stories, but it was also all of the folks who participated in the Truth Commission have been able to continue in that work. And some of the outcomes of our Truth Commission have been contributing to substantive transformative change in the Ferguson, St. Louis area. Not to mention the individuals who are able to move on and really impact our community, like Congresswoman Cori Bush, who helped us start this project as well. And so some of the things that we are really excited and hope to continue supporting this commission around is providing a space where they can gather with other people from other communities who are doing the same thing. For instance, throughout the country, there are over 40 truth commissions that are emerging, doing their work, and trying to address long-held historical issues of structural racism and violence. Actually, many of the people on the call now and in the meeting have attended and been in conversation with people who are doing similar work around the country and throughout the world. And our approach is very much connected and I think honors the sentiment that some of the past speakers mentioned. And we're focused on supporting this community in creating a transitional justice process that fits them. We don't consider ourselves the experts per se. We consider ourselves as people who've had similar experiences, and how do we be here to help? And part of that is in our proposal, it speaks directly to how we want to support the community in developing its own transitional justice efforts, which include some of the fact finding, some of the outreach and working with local community partners, but also evaluation and reporting, and then how that can support structural transformation in your community. And so our proposal is focused on 6 months, where much of our focus is around developing capacity in the local community. And one example of that is we're offering a course on truth and reconciliation for folks around the country who are doing this work as well. And so in addition to supporting this community and supporting the development of processes around truth-telling and truth and reconciliation, we see ourselves as being supporters even after the 6-month period is gone, and continuing to connect people so that they feel that they're a part of a community and a larger group of folks who are doing this work. And I'm just going to close, and I believe we've submitted a report that would be happy to share, and I'd be happy to answer specific questions about our work and some of the folks who are part of our work. But I'm a Midwesterner. I'm from St. Louis, born and raised, and I am so honored and happy that this community is doing this work. And we're in this together in this country. This is an important time where if truth is not held up, then we'll have nothing but mistruths. And one of our, the people who worked on the Truth Commission in Ferguson wrote in her book that truth telling is the beginning of a moral inventory. And that's essentially what we are working on, a moral inventory that touches us to our hearts, helps to heal the woundedness that all of us are feeling. And so, such a pleasure. Thank you all for allowing me to come to you. And I'm here to answer any questions and thoughts and concerns.
Thank you so much, Dave. All right, Lair Bear.
I don't know what rhymes with Amel. Well, now I'm sure commissioners understand why I would want to not go first in such a distinguished group. And I'm here primarily just to express our excitement at the prospect of being teamed with Annie, Angie, V, and David, if I may. We believe that we can play a helpful role as facilitators for the TRC and as a means of helping with the capacity building that's been talked about in other presentations. You all know a lot about us. We obviously had an extensive conversation a number of months ago, and I want to thank the TRC for being open to the possibility of working with us again. I also want you to know that, amongst Kearns and West and the 3 local organizations and Think Piece, we certainly feel as if we have the beginnings of a very symbiotic relationship and partnership to help the TRC, not just with its work internally and with its truth-telling and fact-finding, but with its deliberations and the completion of this first part of its work. And so, like others, I'm here to answer questions, but I don't think there's much need to present more to you all. I think you've heard plenty, and you've heard plenty from us in the past. So happy to take questions and be part of the conversation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Larry. And before we go to public comment on questions, I wanted to just kind of touch base on what where my head is at with those 3 different proposals. I think, and I've spoken to them about it before, eventually the goal is to make an agreement amongst the 3. That way that we don't have council voting for, yes, we'll take Kearns and West. Yes, we'll take Circles. No, we don't want Think Piece. No, we don't want Think Piece. Yes, we want, so things like that. So that's kind of what we're working towards. And that's why I wanted to give all of the people who have sent in proposals time to communicate and talk to us and see where our heads are at with things and what we feel like we might need from them versus them as in like them outside of the city and then our local community proposals that have been put in. So with that being said, I'm gonna open it up to public comment just for the participants on Zoom first. So if you have any questions for either Annie, Angie, V, Dave, Larry, now would be a good time to raise your hand.
I just want to add as well, before we go on to the public comment, I just want to make sure it's clear we're not disqualifying Arnold or anything by any means, just including these 3 in a group as they've actively been working together on a joint proposal. Arnold, again, if you'd like to work with them or also do a separate proposal yourself and then have that considered as, something as an attachment, we can do that too. Just want to make sure that's clear for everyone before we start the public comment.
I was going to see if anyone raised their hand. It looks like nobody on Zoom has any questions. What about anyone here? Public comment? No questions? All right. commissioners that are on Zoom, if any of you guys have any questions, comments, now would be a good time to raise your hand, and then we'll get stuff to unmute you and have our questions answered. I was like, oh, there we go.
They should be unmuted. They're panelists.
Oh, yeah, they can unmute themselves, I think so.
Alice.
It's just, yeah, Sakowis, go ahead.
Good evening. I actually am sick right now. I have COVID, so I may not be the most articulate at the moment. I have some concerns with this proposal. I have been contacted by the Circles folks, but wasn't told that this was actually something that was being proposed for the TRC. What I understood was that it was something that was being proposed through an Iowa City grant. I think it's the Human Rights Commission or something, and that they were going to do this like within their communities. However, I do have very big concerns if this is something that's going to be done through the commission, because I'm very uncomfortable with circles being used by non-Native people when Indigenous people are involved, not as leaders. And though I know that there's been discussion about reaching out to Indigenous peoples, I do feel that this is too soon to be proposing this without actually having consultation and consent from Indigenous communities in the area. I have said to Annie, Angie, V, and Amal that this is a very intricate subject to discuss. And I myself would be very uncomfortable in a circle being led by a white person or a non-Native person. Like, you would find that quite odd, right? So right there, that's the very example of New Ageism and appropriation. And I'm like, for using it for TRC purposes would be like going completely against the grain of what TRC is for, because it's not actually like being inclusive of Indigenous peoples. It's appropriating or using Indigenous ways for the healing of other communities, but not involving the leadership of Indigenous peoples, which it should. And then also, I find it very tokenizing, because so far with the TRC, I have had an interesting experience where the first thing that I was asked to do is, when I came on, after having to fight to get on and get Indigenous representation on this committee, by the way, was to help write a land acknowledgement. Since then, there's been little to no interest in Indigenous communities and our issues that we face here. And the focus of the TRC is far from anything that is about Indigenous folks. And then now we're going to see circles possibly used as a way to heal the community. But again, without any Indigenous involvement. Or asking myself, I've been asked now by 4 people if I'm okay with this. And I've said every time I'm really not, but I'm open to talking about it because, you know, like, I like these people, like every single one of these people that have approached me are people that I respect and I like. So I just hope that the people that I'm speaking like about, or the Circles folks right now, know that this is not like a personal attack or anything like that. But I definitely think that this is a conversation that needs to be had. Like, the Circles aspect of it really needs to be discussed at further length. And we need Indigenous folks from the community involved, and not just Meskwaki folks, actually. Like, there would be Iowa folks that would need to be consulted about this, because this is actually Iowa land. And Meskwaki folks, Second Fox folks came later. And representatives from the community. I know Mary Krebs is here in attendance. And maybe she has something to say. I'm sorry, I'm picking on you, Mary. But it's been very disheartening for me to be on this committee, this commission. It's one of the reasons I've gone quiet the past few meetings, because I don't feel like Indigenous representation is something that's taken seriously, and only in the form of a act that is somewhat like New Age or like inland acknowledgements, which frankly don't actually like do anything for us. It's just like using us as a vehicle for healing others, but like really leaving the first peoples of this land, the peoples with the highest rates of police murder, the people with the highest rates of youth suicide, missing and murdered people, like serious issues that we are facing, just leaving them, like pushing them to the wayside, and like apexing, our ways as a way to move through, but like, pushing all of our stuff out as we go. So this might seem like a harsh assessment, but I have to be honest, because that's my job. It's why I do what I do. And I do want to see these circles happen possibly, but like, I would really like to see like actual real consultation and real consent with Indigenous communities and like folks. That's more than just calling me up and saying, what do you think? Like, well, I told you what I think, but then here we are discussing it. Like I feel kind of ambushed. Like I didn't know this was happening. And it's my fault, because I was actually, the last meeting I was at actually a training for sex trafficking and how to teach that to youth. Because we face such high rates of that within our communities. So that's the stuff I'm dealing with. And so this is why maybe this is a little bit triggering for me. And I just think that it's best that I'm honest, and I hope that we can be stronger for it because of that reason. But I do appreciate the work that V and Annie and Angie are doing. And I really would like to have further conversation. So I guess that would be what I would add to this right now, is that like, let's talk about it. Like, let's set some time aside to have more conversation and get more folks involved. Thank you.
Marie, do you want to go really quick? Just because you're.
Yeah, I just wanted to back Sakawis and what she said. When they spoke of, when Angie spoke of the healing circle, she mentioned First Nations people in Yukon. So I guess my first thought was, are we going to be hosting these people to lead these circles? And then when we're speaking of other, tribal nations involved in these circles, but this is not from their nation. So that was a little confusing to me. I just wanted to back her on that. If we are going to be using these people's healing practices, we probably should be involving them.
Thank you, Marie. So before Daphne goes, I want to give an opportunity for if Angie, V, or Annie want to respond to Sakawis.
Yeah, thank you so much. If it's okay, Ange, can I, and of course, please, others talk. And first of all, Sakawis, I just want to thank you for the gift of you speaking up. I really mean that, like, from my heart. Like, thank you for saying that, everything that you said. And I apologize if we had somehow mischaracterized. We did submit a grant, that is true. And maybe in our conversation that just kind of got caught up in the mix. Our number one priority in approaching this is making sure, again, that we're in right relationship. And so I am certain that the other people in my group would feel similarly, and absolutely doing what you said. We welcome, making those relationships, doing it the right way. There's no finish line, right? And so we're in no hurry. That's white supremacy, and we know that. Like, we're planting seeds for like a future 20 generations away. So absolutely welcome any engagement, and we'll actively pursue that. And I know that you're not feeling well right now, and I'm very sorry that you are sick with COVID. And so, rest up, and definitely I'm personally committed to making sure that we do this, step by step. So thank you so much for your words and for your passion.
It could potentially be a really good thing if we get, I'm imagining truly partnering with local Indigenous folks. It could really be a good thing. I just don't want to, this happens so much to us. Exactly what I'm talking about, because you also come from, disenfranchised communities. But in particular, Indigenous peoples face such high rates of cultural misappropriation, New Age tokenism. And so I would not be a good relative if I did not speak up and say, you are wonderful people, but let's talk about doing this in a way that will be suitable to local folks. I've reached out to some Meskwaki folks already, and one of them is interested in connecting you with maybe folks in the area. And I'm happy to also talk to Iowa people, and then local natives as well at the university and within the Iowa City community that might be interested in becoming a part of this, or helping with it, or consulting, or even teaching or leading a circle. I'm not sure. I just feel I feel like we could talk more about that. So thank you for that really good presentation.
Absolutely. And I also want to say thank you for your words about the commission and your experience. I know that took a lot of courage, and just want you to really feel seen in what you said. So thank you.
Thank you.
I also just want to chime in. I'm probably not going to say anything new that V didn't already, and that this has been at the forefront of what do we not know? What do we not know we're doing? Who can we ask? I'm very sensitive to being a token. I'm very sensitive of people taking credit for things that my perspective brought about, or people like me brought about, and then it being taken. I'm definitely not saying that I can relate exactly to Indigenous people, but I also just want to say thank you for being brave, and being brave publicly, and being brave publicly on a city commission, Secaucus. Just as a woman too, I'm just having kind of a little heart crush on you right now. And I'm super excited to move forward wherever forward goes for us, because that is our priority. So I'm going to stop there, but I just want to give gratitude.
I'm happy to talk to you all more about this moving forward and putting people in touch with you.
Annie might be. Are you unmuting yourself, Annie? She's trying to. Oh.
Down there. I was hitting the one on my picture, which I know that it's down below, but it wasn't working on the picture. Secaucus, thank you. I really appreciate you speaking up, and it's a big issue every place, and it's a big issue here. And so you're giving us a chance to really deal with it and see what needs to be done. I appreciate it. I appreciate you speaking up. Thanks.
Okay, perfect. I want to give gratitude to Secaucus for being very vulnerable. And that was wonderful insight. And I think that was really, really useful, not only just for that team, but for everyone who is in on this Zoom meeting as well and who's here. So I appreciate you for being vulnerable and just articulating that beautifully. Daphne, you want to go ahead and ask any questions?
I don't really have questions. I just want to say thank you to Secaucus for saying this, because I think it is something that at least one or two of us have been thinking. Like, we really aren't comfortable with these circles going forward. I personally feel like we have not been properly introduced to circles. And I think the way to properly do that is asking First Nations people to do that, they're not, it's no one's job to necessarily teach you about their culture. You ask them and hope that they are willing to share that with you. And I'm going to put it out there. Kate Pranis or whatever, she is held up as the person who is teaching all these different non-Indigenous people how to create these circles. But she herself has been accused by Indigenous groups of appropriating this and falsely claiming she had permission to teach others this practice. And this is exactly why it is important to not go to people who said, oh, so-and-so taught me, but to actually go to the people who know, go to the people who understand the spiritual and cultural background and respecting what they're willing to share with us and what they want to keep for themselves. And so thank you so much, Sakawis. I really hope you recover, but thank you for expressing that. It's not always easy to speak up when you feel like you're being tokenized or you're being marginalized. And I also completely agree that we need to expand our focus, because a lot of the focus of our work has been on really African Americans and to a lesser extent Black members of Iowa State's community, and to an even lesser extent excluded workers, which can come from various backgrounds. We kind of need to start opening up our work, because as far as being inclusive, that's not what's happening now. So thank you, Sakawis, and I take this as a challenge for us to do better, and I hope we can meet that challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, Daphne. Dr. Regland, you had your hand up before and then put it back down. Did you have something that you wanted to say before I moved on?
I just wanted to be clear that I definitely appreciate what was said, and but I also just want to name, in all honesty, that circle practices have been practiced around the world in most countries, in most Indigenous places around the world. For instance, the approach that we learned from was from traveling to South Africa and learning specifically through Ubuntu. And so I want to be careful about essentializing where knowledge comes from. So I just want to honor what you said, but also honor that there are so many traditions that are mixed and melded in where we are now. So that's not to take away what you said, but I just want to add some context and depth to that.
Actually, I've actually said that exact same thing to both Annie and V about circles. These are something that I don't know how it's practiced in other parts of the world, but if folks are more comfortable going to their own cultures, traditions, and backgrounds, and moving from that direction, then and not aligning it with First Nations folks, that might be a lot easier way to do it. Just at the same time, we all know why it's happening though. So it's cat's out of the bag. It's that's where it's coming from in this particular case. So but that was one of my ideas in the past. I know I've said that before to Annie a while back. The circles they happen all over the world. So that's something to look into for sure.
Okay. Thank you for that comment. And then I'm going to bring it over to the commissioners that are here. Commissioner Rivera, do you want to start?
Yeah, I have two things, lines of inquiry, I guess, just comments that I wanted to make. One, in response to some of the conversation that's happening, I think that this is a robust conversation and an important one to have. I want to say to Sakawis, I hope you get some rest tonight and a speedy recovery. My thoughts are with you and appreciate you being with us today. I always miss your voice in these meetings. So as much as you're willing to provide, I'm always grateful for it. I think that a lot of attention has been sort of put on this kind of circles and sort of RJ process. I think that it's a little bit putting the cart before the horse in terms of us really needing to focus on sort of the fact finding and truth telling parts before we really consider the methods by which we enact sort of reconciliation and restoration in the community. And so I appreciate sort of the advocacy on behalf of these local leaders and really wanting to sort of propose this type of practice in our work, but I don't think that we're in a place that we can necessarily commit to saying that this is going to be the way that we carry out the third part of our mandate. And so I don't think that we should be making that commitment with this kind of initial facilitator phase of our work. That being said, I recognize how involved, these three local leaders have been with our commission. And I just want us to sort of think how we can incorporate them a little bit earlier in partnership with whomever we go with for facilitation. The other question, not to just not let anyone respond to that, but I just wanted to ask Larry, I really appreciate you joining us again. This is a different phase where the TRC is in a different place than we were when we first spoke and heard from you. I just kind of wanted to get a sense from you in terms of how do you imagine things being different in terms of your involvement and role compared to when we first spoke?
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner, very much for that question. I think that because of the team that we've assembled, we see our role as being one in which we can be primarily a resource to the commissioners as facilitators of a strategic and work plan process, as compilers of the testimony that you will receive from all different corners, whether it be public hearings or private fact-finding and truth-telling, to assist with research, to be supportive to both Dr. Ragland and Eduardo in the work of designing and staging public events, but really be in a shotgun seat, if you will, a supportive role there. And then assisting you as you complete the compilation of the testimony and begin thinking about recommendations to be facilitators for you so that every commissioner can be, fully participative and we can sort of help with, getting you all to consensus on recommendations so that they represent the views of the entire TRC and carry that much more weight.
Thank you.
Sure.
I don't got a question. I just got a comment. I've been involved in a circle with Annie Tucker. I didn't really think about the part about it shouldn't be ran by a white woman. I never thought about that, but I was solely satisfied with the circle. But I am open to education and learning more about the circles. And, I'm open to the idea of having discussions about, getting indigenous people to run the meeting or maybe even just advising or helping to run these circles. So I'm open to education. I just want to say thank you to Annie Tucker because I participated in the circle and I enjoyed it. As far as the issues, going around who it should be ran by and it shouldn't have been ran by that. I'm open to be educated about that. And with that, I yield.
Argo, this is Commissioner Wangui for the record. Thank you, everybody who presented. Taking away something from all of you presenters that can be useful to the TRC. Thank you, everyone. And it was good to listen to you again, Larry. We had already listened to Kansas West. We'd also listened to some of what was said by Think Peace through Gonzalez and part of Kansas West. Thank you. And with Angie, V, and Annie. We work with you in the community. As I've been aware for long that Annie, you do circles in the community as part of the organizations that are already working in Johnson County and in Iowa City. And it was good to hear you, Arnold, and also and to read up on your work and all your experience and what you would also bring to the table. I also do want to respond to Sakawis. Thank you again for standing up. And this is the time, sometimes it feels like somebody is representing a whole cultural group. Thank you for doing that, been there, done that. And it's not, for me, it's never a very comfortable feeling, but we end up doing it anyway, being BIPOC people in Iowa City. So I appreciate your courage and your strength in doing that. And thank you, Daphne, for pointing out that we should not, to remember that we don't, even if some BIPOC groups in our community don't come forward to be part of the facilitation process or working with the TRC at the forefront, we should not forget to go out there and look for them. Right now, I'm thinking of the Latinx communities in Iowa City and in Johnson County. I've been hearing a very loud absence of that particular group. So I'm thinking it's on, I'm feeling as TRC commissioners, we are obligated to be proactive in bringing them to the table. We had started when we were approaching allies. I would suggest that we somehow follow up on that and bring them to the table as we move with the facilitation process. Because to me, the way it's looking, it's now working with multiple facilitators. I stand to be corrected. And then the other, I'm also hearing a very loud absence of Asian community and the African community. And even if they did not, they haven't yet volunteered themselves, they are there. So I'm feeling obligated as a commissioner that we go seek them out. I may be leaving out other groups, but I needed to say that. Then the other thing from Think Peace, thank you very much for taking me back home. You used the word Ubuntu, and that is actually I'm Bantu linguistically. So when you say Ubuntu, if I say it in my language, I would say Omodo for Ubuntu, meaning, and you are relating that to circles and circles. They are not called circles when you go to Ubuntu in my language, but what it means as you sit down to listen, fact find, and work on justice and finally get to reconciliation, humanness, or Ubuntu or Omodo, whichever Bantu language you'll be using, should run through the process. So thank you for bringing that in, that so that I remember as I work as a commissioner to remember to have humanness as I go through, as I work as a commissioner. I yield.
And really quick before Daphne speaks, I just want to say kind of like the comment regarding the circles aspect of this. And that was the part of the reason why I wanted to get the whole commission involved on this conversation, because if you look at their proposal that they have so far, they don't really have a timeline on it. There is no timeline set, it's to be determined. And so I think that's also really important to take into account, because at the beginning of this, when I was reaching out to Kearns and West and Eduardo, I said that I was interested in circles, but I just wasn't sure how it would fit into this process. And so it's been kind of like an experience figuring out how circles fits into this process locally. For me, it's in the longevity of this, how this is going to be long-term. So I just wanted to kind of make sure that people knew that there wasn't a timeline that was determined yet by these three. And this was kind of just to like gauge everyone's perspectives and stuff, and then like go from there from what feedback they're hearing. Daphne, if you still have something to say, I'm totally open to you going.
I just wanted to say, you know, I'm sure a white woman or like I'm sure anyone could lead a circle. It's just understanding the cultural significance behind it. In some parts of the country or parts of the world, the religious beliefs behind it for creating that sacred space. So whether it's Annie or anyone else, I'm not saying people of a certain, I yield.
And anyone from, and so I guess earlier, Gethua, you had mentioned something about kind of where you pictured, and you said you might stand to be corrected. I can't exactly remember what you said before that, but my intention in having these conversations with these folks, specifically Kearns and West and Think Peace, is because I don't think that there is anyone in this community who has the knowledge and experience, since Dr. Regland doesn't like to use expertise, of this truth-telling process. And I think the experience that they bring to the table is invaluable. And I always joke with Larry, like, I can't wait to use you, because like, I don't want to do this research stuff. Like, that's hard. I don't want to do it. It takes up a lot of effort. And so I'm looking at it as a sense of like different phases and, for lack of a better term, different ways that I can use these guys. And so, you know, where I see Larry Schooler and company being super helpful, you know, is getting that research, someone being there to just type and, you know, during the truth telling sessions and gather that information in a place, and kind of help with the strategic planning and all of that with specific things. And I also personally in the future would love to use a stage planning for strategic planning, especially when it comes to sustainability efforts in this community. But I also know that Dr. Regland, like, the experience that he had in Ferguson and, you know, just with everything in the truth-telling project and the amount of expertise that Eduardo has is just invaluable. As far as like the sandwich metaphor, they're the bread, and then I think the meat is the local people who, you know, whether we decide whoever it may be locally, because that's kind of where like a lot of the work on the forefront is going to be. And so I want to make sure that everyone knows that we want to work to make this plan as easy as possible. And like Larry has been very, very, you know, straightforward about not wanting to kind of take over, you know, any of this, and knowing kind of what their part of this agreement would be, versus what current or think piece is part of the agreement would be versus what Estige mediation, banjo knits empowerment role would be. And I'm going to yield to the floor. Does anyone have?
I guess I'm just thinking out loud, but as far as I see sort of the proposals for facilitation as it stands, we have kind of two sort of ways of going about things and ways of exploring. We have, you know, the think piece and Kearns and West proposal sort of group for facilitation, maybe kind of bringing in partners down the line. And then we also have Arnold, who is offering sort of his services. And, you know, I think that there's a lot of good options there, and I would be excited about pursuing any of those options. We still are running into an obstacle that we faced with City Council previously, which is that out of those two options that are being presented for us, we still don't have like anyone in our community.
If you look at the proposed budget for Think Piece, so they have a senior facility or a local facilitator that is doing the work on the floor. They've allotted that in their budget proposal for that. And Estige and mediation.
Estige or Astig, by the way. I just wanted to.
Is it Estige or is it Astig?
It's neither. It's Estig.
Estig.
Yeah, it's Filipino.
Sorry, I'm
It's
so
okay.
sorry.
No, it's okay. People get it all the time. It's Filipino. It means like really, it actually means like cool, fresh, badass. So it's okay. Then. Yeah.
I like that.
I like to insert that into planning as much as I can.
Yeah. And so with that, Estig would be within that time with Think Piece and Kearns and West, sorry. So they would be like the local. And so that's why I was having this conversation with everyone, because they want to make an agreement with those three after hearing, because they've just only been hearing like me and my perspective via communicating with them. And so I wanted everyone to kind of hear where their head was at. And that's why I kind of said that we were taking a step back after that the last time we had met and kind of just said, hey, let's slow this down. Let's see where everyone's head's at. Let's see, Redmond. Is that the deputy manager?
Yes.
Okay, I was going to say, okay. Yes, perfect. Hi, Redmond.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Good.
I didn't want to really interject myself, but the deliberations has been totally fabulous to listen to, and kind of maybe highlighted something in my mind, at least, that maybe the commission may want to consider. I think it's probably fair to say that amongst the BIPOC communities, there's specific challenges in each one. And it may be challenging to expect one facilitator or one group of facilitator to capture all of those unique challenges. Maybe having a facilitating team that can be broken up into specific communities to focus their energies to come back together into some type of unified overall process might be in order. Just kind of dawned on me hearing some of the comments, which make a whole lot of sense. And the fact that maybe some communities may be harder to reach or harder to participate and avoid the possibility of leaving someone out because they may have a different time frame on how they feel comfortable accessing this process. Just a thought.
No, I love that. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you for chiming in and being a part of this conversation. It means a lot to have you here almost every single meeting. So thank you for that feedback. V, what's up?
Yeah, I just wanted to say this, and it is something that our team has discussed in terms of being a local component. And it was something that obviously we were aware of when the first proposal was discussed at City Council, and many of us were present in the room. And so I think that's something that we would definitely be interested in. And we do a lot of that work. We do. I wanted to say that for a while. A lot of that work already in the community in many aspects. And I appreciate what Redmond was saying. We also have other communities, the Racial Equity Connect Collective. There's a lot of organizations and communities that we are part of that I think that we could really tap into and beyond, of course, making new relationships as well. But just wanted to say that we had already discussed that and would certainly be willing to do that and shift our focus, because there's obviously other work with circles that needs to be done. But we're already doing that work in the community and would love to be a part of that. So just wanted to speak that into the space.
Thank you so much. Annie, you want to go ahead?
Just two quick things. I want to riff off of what Redmond said. Like when we were thinking of having people get to learn these skills, we were thinking of folks from throughout the different communities in our community. And so that's something to keep in mind if that's useful. And then I just want to say how grateful I am to be part of this conversation, people being so honest about the inequity and the history and the white skin and the appropriation and the mindfulness that's needed. So I just want to really thank people for being so honest and direct. Thank you.
Thank you, Annie. Is there anyone here that has any last comments that they want to make about the community conversation that we just had with all of our facilitator proposal folks? Chastity, why did I feel like you had your hand up at one time? Did you? Okay. So, and I'm going to say what I think would be the most logical next step, and Steph, you can let me know. I think that it would be important if we set up Zooms in different groups, to speak to you guys, if that makes sense, so that we're not breaking any public records laws. But up to 4 people, do you think that would be helpful? Or it's up to you guys, really. I mean, I found it extremely helpful to be able to engage with these guys. And so I think if that's something that you're interested in, because I would really, really like to have something, not that it's the end of the world if we don't have something figured out by the next meeting, time right now, what's another 2 months? compared to the year we had last year. So, and that's very straightforward. I think council members are aware of that. I think that they're aware that we're being very intentional about this process. So I think what the next logical step would be, maybe Stephanie could reach out to all of us and see what times would work to get together for a Zoom to discuss. And I want to be very frank. I think the local is like the most important to be discussed, like where you guys stand, because I think that's going to be the big thing with council is how locally, what is going to happen at the local point of like all of this. What are our local facilitators going to do? So I think that that's really important. But like everyone said before, this has been like such a riveting conversation and so great. And like, I hope that you guys got a lot of good feedback, and we'll be touching back base with you guys, and I'll be in communication. Is there any last things that anyone wants to say before we go on to the next agenda item? And that's the presenters or any commission members.
Just a quick word of thanks.
I also just want to bring into the space, like how B says that, but just one of my guiding lights is curiosity. Again, those that know me, that's a big thing. And I feel like today in this space with you guys, I got a chance of my curiosity and like unknowns and really awkward, uncomfortable, like, can we do this? Like, even though we're not answering all the questions right now, it just feels good to be curious in a group. And so just that power of curiosity, some of my uncertainties and lack of confidence or my internal vulnerability, I feel stronger with you guys. So I just want to speak that into the space, that our shared curiosity does a lot for the individual, at least for me.
Yay. I know we're all in different time zones, especially Dave, Larry. I appreciate you guys so much. And we will all be in communication. But with that being said, I'm going to move on to the last agenda item, which is announcements of commissioners or staff. And just a reminder, we're not going to engage with one another on the announcements. Yeah, staff, do you want to go first? If nothing, anyone here have anything?
Happy Black History Month.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Happy Black History Month, y'all. If you see a Black person, give them $20. Right? Okay. Well, that was me trying to be funny. Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Bye, everyone.